would if we let him, for sure. He's
Okay.
as far as like, I mean, he chews on the right things, which is good. But like, if he's
Nice.
left to his own, like, what is it? Not demise. What's the word I'm looking for? His own ambition in the house. I think he'd do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he shit in the house the other day, and I didn't notice it for like a day.
Oh, damn.
It was in my my spare room, so he hasn't been allowed in there until like recently, and
Uh,
he just yeah, he shit in there. I was like, oh, okay, so he still needs
does it
to.
have carpet?
It has carpet, yeah,
Yeah, they like the carpet.
yeah, but he does. I mean, he has his first accident in weeks, I think, so that's been good.
Nice.
And plus, it was probably my fault. I probably didn't. He probably came up to me like, "Hey, I need to go outside." He didn't tell me that specifically, but he's like, "Hey,"
Mm-hmm.
and then that's what happened.
Yeah, every dog tells you different. Tonks is so strange. She doesn't ever like bark at the door or
Just sits
anything.
in
She'll
front of
just
you.
kind of like look at you and kind of like whine, and you're like, oh, I guess you do probably need to go out. So.
Yep. Yep. Poe just like waits till I let him out. He doesn't even unless he's panting. He'll pant and like walk up to me and be like, "Dude, I'm
Hmm.
stressed. Get me out of here. I need to
I'm
go."
holding it in, please.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice every morning though. He's been taking a good old poop. Huh.
Nice.
Um. Yeah, and if I keep him, I'd like to do agility with him. Do some like I think he'd be a really good agility dog, which would be cool.
Absolutely, dude. That'd be, and you know, you kind of already have your foot in the door as far as like you know how to train agility because you've done it before.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think that that would also make his learning curve a little bit steeper. He'd probably be quicker at picking it up, and you'd be quicker at teaching him, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess my the other thing the behavioral said is so you can see Poe's his limp, his like she could see where his issues are in his hindquarters, like
Oh.
just from them playing. And
Mm.
so that was like what set me. I was like, oh, if she can see it, and like if it's not gonna be good for Poe's long term health to have a puppy around, like just the way, because he just continues to prod him and chew on his tail and like pull and like do
Mm.
all this stuff. It's like, and I know it's not if Poe can't correct him or Poe tries to correct him and the dog won't listen, like abide to it, then it's
Mm-hmm.
like what, and then it's on me
Then
and
it's on you to correct, yeah.
correct him, and it's like it's hard to. It's the correction isn't hard necessarily, but it's being there in time for the correction. It's like he'll,
Yeah, the constant vigilance of being able to like catch him right as he's doing it so you can get on him and then
yeah,
tell him no it's all the time. That's a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah, and it's so it's like I have to get either a really long lead or paracord, something like that, and always tie it to him when we're walking. That's like a 30-foot lead, or just let him run loose. It's there's just I don't know. These are all the things I'm thinking about and weighing. It's like I
Yeah.
just don't
Does
know.
he come back if you let him run?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's attached. He's better than Poe. I think he'll be better than Poe at like staying around, like just
Oh
because.
wow, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, he's still a puppy. He's still in that follow phase, but it's like he'll get adventurous at some point. But with
Yeah.
healers, I think in him, he's gonna be a better. As long as I like on him and for training, he'd be a better like listening dog. He's
Mm-hmm.
not maybe quite as stubborn as Poe in a way. For
Mm.
I don't know, healers are stubborn too. Just what I've noticed about him though is he stays around pretty well so far. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And there are different times of their lives, you know, I feel like when he's younger, probably easier to train and less stubborn than Poe, at least at this point. And even when you had Poe as a puppy, he was your first one, so it's always a learning curve, you know.
yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm way better. Like I'm already can tell I'm way more patient with Doc. Like him pooping in the house or peeing. Like I haven't been like mad at him once. It's just like, oh, that's probably on me. I need to let him outside. Like or be like more on time with it. And definitely,
Yeah,
yeah. It's probably
I
like
feel that
kids.
too. Even with Tonks, just from like a couple years ago to today, just like I used to get mad at stuff that can't really get mad about because you're not doing anything except making your day harder, kind of thing.
Totally. I have some
Yeah.
cool little tricks if you want to work on them with her. Um, just like
Yeah, well,
so,
what are they?
like I didn't know this. What Nikki is the behavioralist I met is her name. She was there's a couple tricks she gave me, and one is either with kibble or treats. And when they're um, like you spread you sit on a chair, you put your legs kind of like a foot apart, foot and a half, and you just take treats and you just drop them on the ground. You take a treat, drop it on the ground. Once their head comes up, you drop another treat, and this creates like a head up and down action. with the dog,
Mm.
and then this will it kind of helps relaxing them. So I guess when dogs are foraging, like out and about, like smelling, sniffing stuff, like when they're in the woods or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it's a calming effect. It makes them kind of relax a little bit. So like if you're in
Okay.
public with Tonks, and if she's food driven enough and she's kind of going like she's going to get antsy with another dog or something, you could try just dropping treats and keep dropping treats, because with how he is with other dogs, if he sees them, how amped up he gets as well, that's just kind of a way
Mm.
to maybe distract him. And he's so food driven that it's good. Like I
Nice.
don't know how Tonks is with food, but
Tonks is she has treats. She loves a couple different treats.
yeah,
Those would probably be what to use.
yeah. And then another game was you're walking down, say you're walking down a hallway, and you just say 1, 2, 3, treat, and you say it a little more high pitched than that. But it just turns into a game, and just helps them kind of focus in, and then they look for the treat and stuff like that, which is cool.
So you just kind of drop it when you after you say treat.
Yep, 1, 2, 3, treat, and you drop it on the
Okay.
ground. Yep, and it's just another one of those, like, for a dog like him, it just helps him focus in on you and the treat instead of whatever his surrounding area is.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. Some fun games for sure to play with your dog lovers.
Yeah, and every time you get a new dog, they always have different habits or different things you got to train out of them. So it's like stuff like that I've never even heard of, but it's like pretty interesting to know that you got a new dog and these are the new kind of techniques or training methods that you can check out.
Yeah, I think what's interesting too is um, Nikki. She has a few dogs. I think almost 4 or 5 dogs, and like you said earlier, some people just don't care. Not all dogs are going to like each other in the household, and they're just going to, do their thing. And
Yeah.
but she makes it work, and it is what that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Well, welcome in, y'all. We just did a few minutes on dogs, and
Yeah,
this
we're just
is
talking about
what
catching up.
episode
This
is
is
it?
our episode 17. It's the first episode of the new year and
Yeah, thanks for your
yeah, we're
patience, guys. I got really sick when I got back from New Year's, and
yep.
then it was just a busy couple weeks in the way too.
Yeah, playing catch up after the holidays for a second, but
Yeah,
think
really,
things are
man.
back in order. So
That cold. I'm assuming it was COVID. Everybody was around here's had COVID, I think. So it was
oh,
rough. I'm still like 95% probably now. It was a struggle bus there for about 9 to 10 days.
yeah, yeah. I remember at the first of it, you're like, I don't know, something's going on with my throat. I think I might have some allergies or scratchy throat or something. And then a couple of days later, you're like, nope, I'm sick. I was like, ah, damn it.
Sick AF.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was rough. But
yeah.
on the
Well,
mend. Now it's dumping snow here in Red Lodge. We're supposed to get like 8 inches, and it looks like we might get more than that.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the winter time, it's always right when the sickness hits, but I feel like if you get it and get it over with, your immune system's a little bit stronger and could feel a little bit better about going through the rest of the winter, hopefully. So,
Yeah, I hope that's the case for sure. Yeah, let's get into it, man. You have a really cool, was it the mask that we're talking about today?
yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys. I did an art project. There's a museum here in Fort Collins. They do a exhibit where they give out a bunch of masks and then people who sign up can go pick a mask up and then decorate it basically however they want to. There's not a lot of hard rules. A lot of people paint them. Some people will add 3D clay, like sculptural aspects to it. Some people will cut it in half and make it a two-faced mask. There's just a endless amount of things you can do as far as creativity goes. So every year for the past like 3 or 4 years, Ashley and I have gone to the museum and checked out all the masks, and there's so many cool ones, and you could spend a couple hours just browsing them. And I was always like, it'd be fun to make one of these, and finally looked into it, and Ashley and I both got a mask this year, and I ended up deciding to do kind of like a nature aspect slash theme to my mask. So at the greenhouse, there's a whole bunch of frames and a bunch of different kinds of bugs get trapped inside,
Yeah, I see
especially
some.
butterflies.
Are they ladybugs that are in there too?
So the
Or
ones at the
beetles?
top are yeah, they're called Japanese beetles. And they just have kind of a cool iridescent shine on them. I was like, oh, those would be kind of cool for art. And then as I looked at the different bugs, like so many of them were just unique and cool with different patterns. So I was like, I might just try and make something with all these different bugs. And I ended up finding a ton of butterflies and a few different types of like beetles and different bugs. But I ended up Mod Podging slash like it's almost like oh, what is it? Acrylic. It's almost like a hard, like acrylic top, but it's this weird Mod Podge product called Dimensional Magic, and it allows you to kind of make almost like resin-esque like projects, but it's made out of this dimensional magic, so you don't have to like spend a whole bunch of time and effort into learning how to do resin stuff. But yeah, I was able to put the bugs on and then paint that stuff over the top, and then it kind of like sealed them all in and made a hard glossy finish on them.
Yeah, it looks really dope.
And yeah, thanks, dude. And I painted the whole thing kind of like a gradient blue, and then I was able to. There's a clematis plant in the back of my house, and it was blooming this fall, and I was like, I might as well grab a couple blooms on it and press them in a book to see if I can use them for something fun one of these days. And it turned out perfect for the mask because the clematis leaves were all flat, and I was able to press them and glue them onto the mask, just like the butterflies, and it turned out really cool. So
Yeah, I like the blue color.
yeah,
The
and
contrast is
then
good.
they're getting displayed. Uh, in April. I think April through June, they get displayed at the museum in Fort Collins, and people can go and check them out. And then they do like a silent auction on all of them, so you
Nice.
can buy it eventually.
Did Ashley get hers done?
Yeah, Ashley's is done as
You
well.
got pictures to share for that one too,
Yeah, I should. I'll ask
if
her.
she
She
wants.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah, she should be able to send me a couple. She had she had a different shaped mask, so that was the other thing is like they have 3 or 4 different faces that you can do. So hers and mine are different, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's cool.
they
I
look
dig
cool.
that. Looks really nice.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, and
How many hours you put into it?
probably between 10 and 15, maybe.
Nice.
I'd say about 15.
Heck yeah. It's yeah, it's done really well. It's clean, which is really nice. Like you made it.
Thanks.
How did you do the blue first? Did you
No,
paint
I
it
did the
first?
blue second.
You did the blue second? Did you tape
Yeah, and
around
basically,
everything or?
no, it's freehand. I just left a small white line
Hmm.
on the outside of all the butterflies. So,
Nice. That's dope.
yeah.
Very creative. Did you learn
Thanks,
anything from
dude.
it?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about the dimensional magic. That stuff's awesome. And then I learned a lot about bugs, you know. I
Yeah.
had to learn how. There's a lot of people who pin bugs, like they pin butterflies and they'll dry them out and then display them. But that whole like pinning method, it's kind of interesting because that's how you also like, there's certain parts of the butterfly that you can cut and like the way that you harvest the wings is kind of dependent on making sure you don't ruin any part of the bottom or the top of it kind of thing. So it was interesting.
Heck yeah.
Um, I was going to share a little bit about the clematis because I figured since I used that on my mask, I could kind of be a filler for the plant of the week here. Um, so yeah, like I said, it was grown in my backyard, which means it's a perennial. It comes back every year, and it grows here in Colorado. So it's kind of a cool plant. It's called a sweet autumn clematis or a clematis terniflora, and it grows in zones 4 through 9. So it's pretty hardy plant. It's native to Northeast Asia, so like China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan. Um, and it does best in full to part sun with a spot for shade on the ground for its roots. Because if the roots get too hot or too sun baked, it won't do well. So a lot of people, it's a climber, so a lot of people will grow it up like a lamp post or a mailbox, kind of like a decorative vining plant, and then it provides its own shade because it kind of after it creates the leaves and then blooms, it has a pretty big canopy, so that's kind of cool.
Heck yeah.
Um, it's also deer resistant, which I mean anybody who
What
have
does
a
that
lot of deer,
mean? Because does it mean they won't eat it, or does it mean it'll hurt them if they eat it?
it means they won't eat it.
Cool.
I don't think it'll hurt them. I don't know for sure, to be honest. But the thing about deers is that if it does hurt them, they're kind of like, that's why we don't eat it, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, but it blooms in the late fall or late summer to fall. So, unlike most plants, not most, but a lot of plants bloom in the spring to summer, and this one, it's mostly just leaves and foliage all summer, and then into the fall is when you'll see these blooms, and they're big white, puffy blooms. They're really, really pretty, and they have hints of vanilla, honey, and sugar when you smell them. So
That smells nice.
I have one on my back fence, and yeah, every time it blooms, you can smell it through my whole backyard for like 2 weeks. So it's really cool. Um, it's a pollinator attractant, so it's going to be attracting all kinds of different bees and butterflies and everything else that people want around their gardens to help pollinate stuff. And it can get up to 30 feet tall. So
Wow.
it's
That's impressive.
it's a yeah, it's cool. It's a woody vining plant, so it'll vine up and then all of the foliage will die off and that kind of main vine will turn into almost like a trunk. It just turns into like a woody vine, which that's how it lives through those really cold uh, climates, basically.
Hmm.
Um, the last thing I'll say is that it's invasive in Florida, so just kind of interesting where a plant can be grown in the backyard and everything. Like in Colorado, everybody wants these, everybody loves them, and then in Florida, they're an invasive plant just because the climate there is
Perfect.
it's perfect for it, yeah, and it just grows too fast. So, um, but yeah, if you guys ever get a chance, check out the Sweet Autumn Clematis. It's a cool plant.
Heck yeah. I dig it. Um, I don't know if you looked at my Instagram. I sent you some pictures I want to talk about on
Yeah.
Instagram. Um, and two photos. I may add a couple more because there was some elk out there, which was cool. Is I went on a trip actually to see. I went to see you guys, and then just to get out of Red Lodge, and I went to Great Sand Dunes National Park, and that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
dude. Ashley and I went down there a few years ago, and that place is really cool.
oh, it was beautiful. It was so like everything behind you is just flat, and then you like walk up, you drive up to this just massive range of mountains, and then there's the sand dunes in front of these mountains, and it's just wildly beautiful. It's so cool.
Yeah, I think those are the Sangria de Cristos. That's the mountain range, and they are pretty spectacular. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I went in I think it was January. That feels right. It was like early maybe mid January. And it was so cold. And so I drove out there and I stayed the night in the park. I don't know if it was legal or not, but whatever. And um it was so cold. It was probably like 0 degrees, 5 degrees, negative. I
Dang.
can't remember. Maybe even negative. But I just kept starting I had my old Chevy, so I slept in the front seat and started it every couple hours, and then had a blanket on me, and I was so it was so cold. It was rough. It was a rough night.
Yeah, what there was no was there there's no snow, but it's just like it's deceiving because of that. It's just so cold.
Yeah, there was snow up high on the range, but yeah, not down low. And then the next day was cool though. Like it was pretty much I was the first one out there walking around and just hiking around these sand dunes, and you get to the top of the sand dunes and then you see people trickle in, and some people are bring up their sandboards, like it's kind of like a snowboard, right? And then they or maybe it is a snowboard, and they're riding down the sand dunes, which is pretty sweet. And
Yeah.
but yeah, it was just a really cool experience, and walking around in the sand like that. Ow. And seeing the elk was pretty sweet.
Yeah, we're used to seeing elk out in, the mountains and the trees and I mean they're still mountains, but these are like desert elk, so it's just different.
Yeah. Sorry, I have a dog trying to. That's distracting
Oh,
me.
no worries.
Yeah.
One thing I was gonna say about that, um, the Great Sand Dunes National Park, Ashley and I went down there in the springtime and they have this thing called the
This is cool.
surge
This
flow.
is really cool.
Yeah, and so basically what ends up happening is that the runoff or like the snow melt from up high in the springtime will come down and create it's a river, but then or it's a creek, I guess, but then as these runoffs as the water runs off it somehow I think it causes breaks in the sand and you'll get these like waves or these like surges of water. So like the water's only about 6 inches to a foot deep, but then all of a sudden you'll get this big wave of water and it'll be 3 feet deep, and people will be on tubes and you can kind of like ride down this sandy river, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. I'd love to go then at that time.
Yeah, and it's a little bit warmer, so you can kind of explore a little more, but
Yeah.
there's also a lot of like alien slash UFO sightings out at
Hmm.
Great Sand Dunes National Park. It's like I think it's a certified dark sky or whatever that's
Yep.
called, where
Yep. We have one.
you
We
can
have,
go
we went
out
out
there
there.
and yeah, you can go out there and really like look at the stars and like you have a really clear view of the sky, but it's also very known for UFO activity, so it's kind of
And
interesting.
they're out and about right now. It's pretty big. They're everywhere.
I
They're
know.
watching us. But I was going to say a couple things about these photos. One's black and white. I really like the lines, the shadows, the depth. And behind it, you can't really like behind the sand dunes. You can't see. It's just a like negative space, and then there's like I like the way it contrasts there. And then the
I
other
like
one,
that too.
yeah,
It's hard to tell. You could be in like the Antarctic, it could be snow or it could be sand, and
yeah,
just the different shapes and the contrast is it's a cool perspective.
yeah. And there's like enough depth, not necessarily depth. There's in the shadows. There's enough like you can see the details even in the shadows, which I like. It's not just like black. Um,
Yeah.
and then the next one is a photo of just showing the vast depth. It's I think this one's cropped a little bit on Instagram, but the foreground, the middle ground, and then the background just shows like you have the flat plains area, you have the sand, and then you have the vast mountains behind it. And so I like the levels of it.
Yeah. It looks like it's it looks photoshopped. It looks like three different planets you just plastered on top of each other almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Dang. And then yeah, I think every year the dunes move, it's not like they stay the same. So the wind blows them around and the weather changes and
Yeah.
dunes kind of, it's a different scene every time you go. So it's pretty cool.
I know you're hungry. I hear you. He really tells you when he's hungry.
Hungry boy.
Yeah. Oh puppy. You got pretty eyes. Oh man, so hard. Um, let's talk a little football, yeah,
Absolutely.
and then we'll call her a day. Divisional weekend this weekend. That we have
Hmm.
Bills versus Ravens, then we have Chiefs versus Texans, and then we have the Eagles versus um, who's the can I no Eagles versus Rams, and then Commanders versus the Lions. Who you got?
Mm, all right. I've I forgot the first
Okay,
like
first I'll
three
go.
that you
I'll go.
said.
Okay, first one. First one's Ravens versus Bills. This is the main
Okay.
event, the best game of the weekend.
Bills.
Yeah.
I want the Bills to win.
Yes, I
I,
agree.
I think the Ravens are gonna be pretty good, pretty hard to beat.
I also agree with that. The Ravens are they're so good. Like if they get Derrick Henry rolling, like what are you going to do to stop him?
Yep.
But if you get Josh Allen rolling, what are you going to do to stop him? And Lamar, I guess
Yep.
it's just going to be a
It's
really good
just
game.
score, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah, it's just you're gonna have to score.
yeah. I want the Bills to win. It's a
Me too.
toss up. It's a pick 'em. Like either team, who knows? You know, it's um. I just want a good game. I think whoever wins though, I want them to beat the Chiefs. So
Me
that's
too.
all I care about. Like that's all I want. So beat the Chiefs
It's just
and
hard because even though Lamar doesn't have a lot of weapons, I think he has a little bit more than Josh Allen. Like Zay Flowers is still like he's a pretty good wide receiver,
oh he
and
is. He might
Derek.
not I don't think he's gonna play this game.
Oh, that might matter.
Oh, it matters for sure.
Oh, okay, that's more
Yeah.
exciting.
Lamar definitely has more weapons than Josh. But I mean Lamar is in his own like I think Lamar is like the most talented player in the NFL, and then Josh Allen, and then Patrick Mahomes. It's so stupid how good they all are. Like
It
Lamar,
is. It's pretty wild.
Lamar is just. I wish he was on my team. That's all I like. You know how cool it'd be if Lamar was on your team. You know how fun that would be to watch.
It'd be cool if Lamar was a Steeler. It would. I wouldn't want him on my fantasy team because I hate the Ravens. Thanks to you, Kyle.
um,
Your freaking Andrew Luck prediction 10 years ago that I'll never forget.
what was it?
He just tried to tell me that Andrew Luck was like so good, and I was just like, he can't be good if you're hurt all the time, dude. And it was just this argument that we had for a long time. So
Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't really. I mean, I'm in favoring the Bills. I want them to win a little bit more than the Ravens. But if the Ravens win, I won't be mad. I just really want a good game. And if the Ravens,
me too.
whoever beats the Chiefs, hopefully, that's what I want.
hmm They're gonna
Um,
beat him. They're gonna
Texans,
beat him. We gotta
Texans versus
speak it into
Chiefs, right?
existence.
Texans versus Chiefs. Who we got?
Oh,
Got the Chiefs.
if I was a betting man, yeah, I'd be the Chiefs.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really have much to say on this game. You know, C.J. Stroud, if he plays good, they'll have a chance. If he doesn't play good, there's no chance.
I think he's gonna play good. I did have a question about CJ Stroud I wanted to run by you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a comparison of him and let's say like Bo Nix, right? So CJ Stroud had a great first year, second year slumped, right? Bo Nix, first great year, second year, what do you think he's gonna do?
For Bo Nix,
Yeah, I think he's gonna slump compared to season
I don't
one.
think his numbers might not be as good because he had a really good numbers season. I
hmm
don't think he's going to slump because he has Sean Payton. I think the
Do
fact
you think that CJ Stroud slumped then?
yeah, CJ Stroud definitely slumped, but I don't think it was all his fault. He has a really bad offensive line. He lost Tank Dell. He lost Stephon Diggs. He lost some offensive pieces. Um,
Also, do you think that there's some sort of aspect that teams are learning CJ Stroud's
totally.
techniques, like
Yeah.
how he plays. And so, do you think that they're going to kind of do the same thing to Bo Nix next year, where it's like he's still going to be good? I still think CJ Stroud's good. I just think that the adjustment period for teams to him year two was more effective or like more impactful than people give it credit for,
Well,
maybe.
the reason why I think Bo Nix won't hit a big slump is because he has Sean Payton. I think the guy that's running plays for CJ Stroud is just he's not in the same world as Sean Payton.
He's just inexperienced
Sean
compared to
Payton's been
Sean.
with Drew Brees. He was with Drew Brees for a decade plus. You know,
Yeah.
he just knows how to call games for a quarterback to be successful. And so I think even if people start to learn Bo Nix's tendencies, Sean Payton will give him better tools to combat those. Like adjustments. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And not to jump back, but I think that's also why Lamar's doing so well this year. It's like, yes, he's extremely talented, but I think that the offensive play caller on that team is extremely beneficial for him. It's his first year, I'm pretty sure.
The play caller.
Or the offensive coordinator, or maybe the
This is his
offensive.
second year with Lamar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's been steadily getting better and
Yeah,
better.
and I mean Lamar won the MVP last year too, and he's probably going to win it this year. So like, I think the offense coordinator is better this year than he was last year.
There's talks about him leaving, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he's interviewing for a couple head coaching jobs. I don't think he gets any. I don't think he's quite there yet. I think he'll be with the Ravens again next year. No, if he
I
has,
think Lamar would benefit from that. I think if they switch, Lamar's going to have, because he's already had those seasons where you're like, he played good, but he was 50%, 50% of his games were trash, were a bust.
yeah, I think, and then some of that's how the game flows, and like, I guess I mean, going back to the playoffs, I think the biggest thing for them this year is to run the ball. Like they would have beat the Chiefs last year, I think, if they would have just ran the ball, but they just had to like either the coordinator Todd Monken or Lamar just was like, "Hey, let's go toe for toe with Patrick Mahomes and throw the ball." When you're a running like you're not just a running quarterback, but you are the best running quarterback in NFL history. Run the goddamn ball. Like don't play this like who's can do it better. You know what you can do better. You can run the ball. Run the ball.
Yeah,
Like Derrick Henry and having
that's
Derrick
fair.
Henry is gonna just it's just dumb. He's so good.
I think that's why I'm on the other side of the MVP, though. I think Josh gets the MVP in my book because he's done everything with less around him.
Totally,
So
100%. I would like Josh to win it, but if Lamar wins it, his stats, his numbers are better, so it doesn't.
well deserved,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Let's move on. I don't need to talk about the Chiefs anymore. Eagles and Rams.
Eagles.
Yeah, I hope the Eagles win. The Rams snuck out of the division with like a
My goodness.
strength of
They made
tiebreaker. It was
they
like
made the Vikings look like they were playing flag football or something, man.
the Vikings are dumb. That head coach,
The
he
Vikings are dumb.
he's a good head coach. Don't get me wrong. Like he's great. They went 14-3, 14-4, whatever. But
Yeah.
he did not help that quarterback. He didn't help that team. He needed to run the ball, and he just like got pass happy and kept throwing it.
Sam Darnold needed to run the ball a couple times too
Yeah,
to keep
for
that
sure.
defense honest, and then after he didn't,
Yeah.
it was an
If
embarrassment.
if your quarterback's gonna get sacked 9 times, that's a lesson or maybe a message that hey, run the football with your really good running backs, and then do play action to your receivers. I don't know what that coach was thinking with the calls he was making. It was bad. He
Sam Darnold also holds the ball for so long,
does,
and
yeah,
it's like you got to know that, I guess, but also,
yeah. I'd say I'd put 70% on the coach and 30% on Sam.
yeah.
Um, the Rams are good, man. They have a really great nucleus on defense. It's young, and I hate it. And then they have a really good veteran crew on the offense with Stafford, Cup, and Nakua is just like top 10 receiver in the league, top five.
Yeah.
He's awesome. It's okay though.
Yep.
But I've taken the Eagles too. I think Saquon is going to go off again like he did the last time they played the Rams, and I hope
hmm
I want the Rams to lose. They're in the Seattle's division, and screw them.
I want the Rams to make Jalen Hurts have to play.
What do you mean?
Really play, man. He's been playing like trash the past 2 or 3 weeks. He's been like
He
hardly
wasn't.
throwing at all. He's been
He didn't play. He's only played one game in the last like month.
well, the last game, which was the last one I watched, was not great.
He came back from a concussion, and so I give him a pass. It's like they were just, for one, the coverages. I was watching a video. The receivers, like, there was no separation on cornerbacks against the Packers. They were all just like stuck to him. The route concepts weren't the best, and then Jalen. Like, don't get me wrong, Jalen could be way better throwing the football with his
Yeah, I just
receivers
haven't been very impressed with him all year, to be
all year
honest.
for
Like,
sure. But the thing is they have Saquon, and so
yeah,
they really, I think the team, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, they all really like just not led, but leaned on Saquon to just lead the team, and he did.
And he's a leader, man. It sounds like he's the guy you want in the locker room
Yeah, number one
to lead
overall
the team.
fantasy pick
So
next year for sure. He's just been so good.
nice.
Yeah, or JJ, or Jamar Chase, one of those guys.
I was like, I don't know if it's number one, but I won't say anything.
I'll take him number one. Dude, he was the best. He had, I think, behind Lamar, he had the most points this year. Maybe it was Jamar. I don't know. For PPR,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know Gibbs.
Gibbs was
Gibbs
good.
is gonna be in the first round.
I guess that take us to the Lions.
Yeah, Lions are taking it, dude.
I hope so. I would love to. Their defense. They have like 19 players on IR. That's
I know.
just sad. But if their team wasn't so hurt, I think they'd win the Super Bowl like easily this year. But I don't know.
I think their coach is just a really good coach.
Oh, for
so
sure.
that
Dan
helps.
Campbell's great. Having Ben Johnson's great. Aaron Glenn is also awesome. That game plan Aaron Glenn had against Sam Darnold for the division championship was stupid. Like, he was just in his bag. He just made Sam Darnold and the Vikings a bitch. It was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going against the Commanders. Jaden Daniels as quarterback. I think it'll be a good game. Jaden Daniels is special, man. He's been fun to watch.
Yeah. I was just gonna mention how well Jared Goff played, even though he kind of like low key went like he didn't do a lot, but it's because he kind of didn't have to do a lot, I guess.
I mean, he had some games where he did for sure. Like he
No,
played.
I guess what I'm trying to say is just like people don't realize how well Jared Goff played because he's shadowed by Gibbs and Montgomery, and there's just so many people on that team who make plays. But I just looked it up. He threw 37 touchdowns this year. It's like he would have been like in the conversation for an MVP 2 or 3 years ago, but just now people are playing out of their minds, so he's not really.
And he was in the conversation until he threw like 5 interceptions against the Texans. So if he didn't have that,
was terrible.
If he didn't have that game, and I think he would have still been in the conversation. But yeah, he had a good season, man. I wish his offensive line is stupid. Their offensive line's so good. Yeah, but who do you got? You want the Lions to win? You think they're gonna win? Yeah.
Yep.
Word. I feel that. But yeah, man, I think
Who do you got?
I got the Lions as well.
They're playing the Commanders?
Yeah.
I like the Commanders, dude.
too.
I like Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be awesome. But
if the Lions don't win, I want the Commanders all the way, I think.
me too.
But I just don't see the Commanders winning the Super Bowl, which is, if they were to play, I guess if the Chiefs were into the Super Bowl, I want the Lions or the Eagles. If any other team goes to the Super Bowl in the AFC, I'll have the Commanders Lions.
Yep.
Yeah, but
I like that.
I think let's call it, man. That was a good 38 minutes to catch up, and
yeah, it's been a minute. We had a lot to catch up about, so it went a little long, but that's all right.
But that was a fun conversation, and we will see you guys next time.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.